Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all well. Part two of the John Harris "It's an Illusion." He kind of used the video with the obviously the policeman and the policeman and woman and someone filming and the trying to get him to stop filming, but that he's allowed to. He's going to kind of explain that video, so that's why I'm making part two. I'll probably won't make a part three. Just go and watch the full thing yourself if you want. John Harris, It's an Illusion on various channels. To be honest, I don't think there'll be any copyright on it. I could probably just steal it and put it on my channel. To be honest, but I can't be bothered. To be honest, so I'll just go and watch the rest of it on John Harris if you're interested. He has got more actually. There's like an update to it as well. Like can't quite help him. Maybe look at it at the end of this, but there is more from him. I do believe he's died now. I believe he died of cancer, I think. But just interesting stuff, and a lot of stuff he goes into with the law and statutes, and how, as he said in the previous one, like people are trading, and police stations are trading, and all this kind of crack that goes on in the background.
Actually, I'll get this to stop. Oh, actually, you don't need to see that yet. Oh, you can actually. Right, just to let you know, all the police, I said all the police are registered corporations. City of London Police, up the top here, are registered. Northumberland, Gwent Constabulary, also trading as Gwent Police Authority. So they're trading. Okay? They're trading. So that means they're companies who are trading for profit. But they need to generate that profit. And how they generate that profit is enforcing statutes on you. That's how they do it. Not law. It's policy. What you saw there in that video was two police officers trying to get a man to give his name and his address. Because in the world of a police officer, they can only act on you if you contract with them, because it's the world of contracts. Remember, the statutory instrument is a legally created written contract. So they're contracts. He needs you to give your name and your address because he needs to act on your person, not the man or the woman. Darren, who would admit it as well, he stood up there, didn't actually know what he was doing at that time, and he's laughing his head off because he didn't. But the point is, this is natural. It's inherent. It's already in you. You've just been conditioned to not know it. That's all that's happened. When Darren wouldn't conform, what did the lady officer try and do? She tried to pick a spoil with him over any issue she possibly could find to try and enforce a statute. Now that is not a policeman or woman. That is not upholding the law of this land, the real law of this land. Okay, that is a corporate enforcement policy agent. So you now understand there is a big difference between the two, a massive difference. And they are, I promise you can check this out yourself. You can go and do all this stuff, and if you notice at the top, it says company search results. This is not something I've just made up on, I couldn't even if I tried. So what is legalese? It's a language that can be created by any society. Corporation can be such a society. Legalese is such a language. In English, it is English, but some words have very, very different meanings. Example, legalese is a language of the law society. Check it out for yourselves. One of the things I was going to say before I come on and I forgot is to say to you, do not take a word I'm saying as being the truth. Don't. Go and look at this stuff yourself, because that's the only way that you will suddenly realise what's going on. The truth is only the truth when you know, when you realise it. I could tell you all afternoon long, but until you realise it, it's meaningless. It's down to you to realise this. The examples. Must is synonymous with the word may. When someone says to you from a corporation, you must, they're actually giving you a choice because they can't force you. They're not allowed to, because it's not law. It's only policy. Summons is synonymous with invitation. When you get a summons from a court of supposedly law, You actually are being invited to a corporate place of business to discuss how much money you're going to give that corporate place of business.
In effect, because you've got two courts, we've got Crown Court and Magistrates Court, and in a way of looking at it, is sort of Crown Court deals with the law, and the Magistrate Court deals with more of the statutes, to be honest, and you can't really get out of the Crown Court. That's the one you've got to be scared of, to be honest. And again, knowing all this, it can in a way stop you getting statutes enacted on you. That's the thing, consent of the governed, and knowing that it's a statute. And again, it's all very, very. It's all systems upon systems that are hundreds of years old that have been built by man. And exactly what he's saying here is like legalese is in effect they've changed the meaning of words, and when you get a summons, it means invite, but you've been led to believe it means you have to go, but it's in effect an invite. And when you turn up, you accept the blame in effect for, again, it's like you're saying here, there's a person and the legal fiction. Well, they have to then you've got the human being. Well, they have to act on like the legal fiction, so they can't unless you're there. You in effect turn up to the summons and say, "Yeah, I am the legal fiction." So it's very clever, to be honest. But if you can kind of see what he's trying to tell you here, that in effect you can make your own society, make your own language up, and in that language you can use the English language, but just completely change the meaning of the words.
And you won't get an 8 for it either. Understand is synonymous with stand under. If I say to you, do you understand? And you say yes, that means you stand under me, which means you've...
Yeah, that's a big one, and the police do use that when they say, do you understand? But you think they're asking if you understand, and in effect they've changed the meaning of the word to stand under. So they're asking you if you stand under them, do you give them authority over you? And when you say yes to understand, you've in effect said yes to stand under, but they fucked you with legalese, to be honest. So when a copper ever says to you, do you understand? Say no.
Given me authority over you. It's as simple as that. It's so simple. But this is a language you don't know. You don't know you've been spoken to by this language. Ministry of Justice, also traded as every magistrate's court in this land. The High Court of Judicia. All of them, every single one, is a corporation running for profit. Know who you are. If you go to court, which I've had a few accountants with, to say the least, it's a corporate place of business. And they will immediately ask you for your name. Okay? Your name. They will even presume to know who you are. And they will ask you as such. They would say to me, Mr. Harris. Mr. is the title of something with legal personality status. I was named by my parents, but I wasn't called Mr. John Harris. Well, I don't think so. If I reply yes, guess what I've agreed to represent? A man cannot be acted upon by statutes, nor can a woman, a human being, a living soul. These only apply to the fictional entity which is the legal personality, i.e. Mr. John Harris in full caps or Mr. J. Harris. Every title in this land is a fiction. If you're Lord whatever, it's fiction. Every title is a fiction because it doesn't apply to a human being. It's the legal status. Remember the word status? It comes into everything. Do you like the pictures? Photocopied as well. Right. It's the easiest way of doing it because I wanted a cardboard cutout so I can say, look, this is the fiction and this is the living soul, because it's hard for you to grasp that you're two people. You just don't know you are. That's really, really hard to grasp. Natural law and common law applies to me. Okay? Inherent law. You don't need him to be told it. You know what's right or wrong. Do you not?
You may not harm anyone or cause them loss is common law. Everything else instead is statutes.
You know, don't you? It's inherent. It's just there. Commercial policy, civil policy and political policy applies to the fiction, but they need that to represent it, because that doesn't exist. In the real world, there's an easy way of breaking this down. If you look at a company exists because a piece of paper says it's a company. But it's not real, is it? It's not in the real world. It's just a piece of paper that says this is a company. Common law v. statute, rules and policy. I like this. The only basic principles that any people of any nation need to adhere to are those of natural law, which are mirrored in common law. Never harm or cause loss. It covers every eventuality. There is nothing it doesn't cover. Nothing. Common law applies to a man or a woman, a living soul. Statute rules apply to the person only when the man or woman consents to represent the person. Consent can be given in inaction or action, and I'll explain that in a little bit. Within statute rules, you will just receive a summary judgment. That's what you get in the courts of law, or supposedly. But it's called summary judgment, and what summary judgment is, it doesn't matter if whatever court you go into, as long as that court's going to make money from someone, because that's all it's about. And there's a reason they want to extract that revenue from you. There is such a reason. You break the rules of the contract and you lose. It's as simple as that. You are a man or a woman, you have a person. My name is John Harris, or John, or my wife calls me lots of other names, but there you go. I shan't discuss them. I exist naturally. Okay? I'm here. I'm real. I was created by divine, whatever you want to call it. I don't want to get into any of this sort of, I don't know what it is, so I just say divine, it's the easiest way. But I was created. I'm subject to common law jurisdiction. Do we know what jurisdiction means? Well, jurisdiction basically means juris is of law, and diction means the use of words in any way you want to use them, basically. I must never harm another or cause another loss, any form of loss. I'm free and unlimited ability to contract and settle debt in private and under commercial law. I can basically do as I please as long as I abide by these principles. My person that's attached to me is Mr. J. Harris, who's a fictional entity created by the government. Subject to civil policy jurisdiction, must fulfil all duties given to and governed by corporate policy, tax, etc., under statute. Does business in the public sector, or I don't. So what is a person? Okay? They're inviting a person created by the United Kingdom Corporation. They created something when you were born. You just didn't know.
So in effect, it's like your birth certificates. When your parents fill in your birth certificate, they in effect create your legal fiction. And when you're 16 or 15, a national insurance card will come through the post because you're coming to the age of where you will be able to earn tax for this corporation. And that's kind of the way of things, but it's been disguised in a way, but this guy will go on to explain it.
Because you couldn't know. Your parents didn't know, and their parents before them didn't know. Because it's been hidden from you. Because it's too simple. That's the point. Our world is so bloody complicated. But it's not complicated. Everything complicated has a very, very simple foundation. Everything. I'm just simple. I just look at things simply. Your person was created when your birth was registered and evidenced by your birth certificate. Man created government, which in turn created persons. Your person is not you. It is a legal fiction which you are falsely identifying with because you've been deceived. Massively. You don't get to say what its rights and duties are. The United Kingdom Corporation does. Like I said, you've been misled and you've been deceived. Let's define the word person. Includes natural person, firm, co-partnership, association, limited liability, company or corporation, legal personality. Well, I've got a problem with this. First off, the first one we had was how can you define person with exactly the same word because you're failing to define anything? And this is in Black's Law Dictionary, 8. If you look at person in Black's Law Dictionary 3, you'll see it's a fiction. Actually says it, it's a fiction. Because it's not real. It's not real. And I want to ask a question as well. Why would you need 8 revisions of one dictionary of law? For what possible reason? Why would the words change? But why would they change? A word means something and it never changes. So if it's being changed for a reason. The creation of the person. When you were born, your mother, father, submitted a birth certificate registration application form. In the formulation of any limited company corporation, there is always a certificate of registration to create its legal personality. Your fictional person, known by Mr., Mrs. or blah, 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 you can see it up there, is created by the same means. So this is interesting as well. People like, I couldn't believe this. When I actually found out, and this comes from Rob Bernard. Do we know who Rob Bernard is? Really? Yeah, good. I'm glad. Right. When you submit, you are bending to another's will. Okay? So you're bending, you're agreeing to bend to their will. When you register, you are handing over title ownership of whatever you're registering to whoever you are registering it to. You actually...
So, in effect, what he says here is, so again, when a birth certificate is you registering your child's birth and registering your child with the government. Now, it says here, when you register anything, you hand over legal title of whatever you're registering to whomever you are registering it to, acknowledging or transferring the authority to another by this process. So, in effect, when you fill in a birth certificate, you sign your children over to the United Kingdom Corporation, to the government. And proof of that is, this is why they don't like the gypsies, to be honest, because they don't sign the kids over to the government. And the government has no legal rights to do anything to the gypsies. They cannot take their children because they've not signed up to the system, and this is why the gypsies aren't liked. But everybody else who signs up to the system and fills in the birth certificate, if you mistreat the child, the government will come and take the child off you, and it's nothing to do so much with protecting the child's health and well-being. It's a lot more to do with the fact that the government own the child, and you're damaging the property of the government, which then will go on to become a taxpayer and become part of this system. So they want this person, and they want this person in good working order, so that when he gets to the time to work, he can become part of the system. So in effect, they're protecting their assets more than protecting people's health and well-being, because we know the government don't give a shit about our health and well-being. So it's more about their asset that eventually becomes part of this corporation that goes on to pay tax. And if you mistreat that child when it's young, even though it's your child, because you signed that child over by registering it, that's how the government has the legal right to take your child, because you registered it to them. Now, I don't believe they have the right to take the gypsy children because they didn't fill in the birth certificate. And in effect, you've signed your child away, is what this is saying.
We physically hand this over. And in doing this, you acknowledge the transferring of that authority. When you apply, it actually means you're begging. And when you beg, it's assumed you know what you're begging for and you know what you're going to give up. That's what this means. Most of the time, you actually volunteer an application. You actually volunteer. You're not made to do it. Did I make you get a credit card? But you submit an application. Everything in this, the whole world is created, it runs on submitting applications for this, submitting applications for that. I'm waiting for health and safety to say I can't put a pencil behind me because I'll get a... But it's going to come, and you know it's coming. You know. That's why you're laughing. Right, this is the document. This is unbelievable. Right, this is, you've all seen this, yeah? You know what this is, yeah? Birth certificate. Right. You get a certified copy, you do not get the original, because that goes somewhere else. This up here, when you actually look at this, you look at this, and you get your own. When you get home, or you get your kids, whatever, get this document and look at it, because it's phenomenal what they've done. The name of the person's being created in capitalised surname. See the surnames in capitals, okay? It's a fiction. This is being created. That fiction is going to be created there. But what they need is, they need another fiction to do it. They have to have a fiction there to do this, who is the informant. You actually inform on your own children. Do you know that? You inform on them. It's brilliant, isn't it? Eh? And your qualification is, you're one of their parents. Mad, mad. And it's capitalised, it's all capitalised. And it is absolutely true. Look at your birth certificate, informant, the qualification needed, and it will say needed, and you inform because you are the father or the mother. What you don't know is that at the bottom, there is a declaration. Now, a declaration is in common law. A declaration is a sworn oath of a man or a woman. And there's a reason that's on the bottom. Because without that man or woman being present, the fictitious mother or father isn't present. Now you're seeing that the person is attached to the human being. But to do this, they need the human being to be there. That's why there's a declaration at the bottom of it. And this, it says it quite simply. You have to be present to represent the person needed to create the new person's legal personality. I know it's a tongue, believe me, it's mind-boggling, but it really is. This is what...
Bonded slave, as I've said before. You're just part of this system that eventually goes on to earn money and tax and all this kind of crack. And that's what we are, and people don't understand. You're in effect signing your kids over to be bond slaves in a way. And again, this is why the gypsies aren't liked, because they don't play the game. This is the game. And whether they know it or not, but they're not playing the game, and this is why they were frowned upon by the powers that be, because they have no legal rights to prosecute these people in the same way. That's the problem. If they're not on the system and they haven't become a bonded slave in effect, then they do not have to adhere to the rules of the corporation. So it's very hard to prosecute them when they don't have to adhere to the rules of the corporation.
What we found. And it all makes sense. That's the point. This is what I want to tell you about it. And then you register it to a corporation. The General Register Office. Get your birth certificate and lift it up and you'll see GRO. It's the General Register Office. That's who you're registering it to. Registration and your children. And this is not funny. This is really, really true. Okay? To this day, registration still means the same thing. You hand over or you transfer the legal title to the body you have registered it with. As you have seen, the worst possible way this has been done is by the birth certificate. It's been abused. A simple show of this is do you have to mandatory school your children? Well, you do. And can you take them on holiday when you want to? No. Because what happens when you take them out at term time? I know people have received £100 fines for taking their kids out at term time, taking them on holiday. And they have to be vaccinated. The thing is, it's their property. You signed over title ownership of that child to the government when you registered it. You've got no claim to your children whatsoever. You just don't know it because you've been duped. If you want proof of it, the social services. What happens when you don't look after their property or they pertain you're not looking after their property properly? Linda Lewis, Baby P. what happens? They take the child away. And not all children are taken away because the child is in danger. Do not believe that for a second. Do not believe the propaganda, because it's not true. And my friend down there, Mr. Gerrish, can prove this many, many times. Well, what you'll notice is it says Social Services PLC, because it is a PLC. And a PLC is a publicly limited company that has shareholders, and shareholders need profits. And where do they get profit from? Stealing children. I couldn't believe this when I found it. I was stunned. Brian's been telling me this for 18 months, and I couldn't believe it because I couldn't see any facts, and I only deal with facts. I deal with black and white, right or wrong. There's no in-betweens. Something's right or it's wrong. And this is fact, and it makes sense. I want to prove it as well. Consider this. Could the government lawfully take your car and crush it if you owned it? Right. When you register your vehicle, you hand over the ownership, title ownership of that vehicle to the government. You get a V5 document, and it's the registered keeper. Look on anyone, registered keeper. If you look on the advert that's on the telly, and they crush the car in front of the couple, just come back from wherever they come back, and the car crashes up in front of them, the voice says, we have a legal right to do this. But it doesn't say, we have a lawful right to do this. Because they haven't got a lawful right to do it. They've just duped you into giving your property to them so they can crush it when you don't put bloody tax on it. Incredible, incredible. Basically, as well, when you do this, when you register it, as stated, because it is stated, you agree to abide by their rules. MOT certificate, road tax, and the fuel levy tax as well. You agree to this. This is what you agree to because it's part of the deal. And then you register it to another corporation. Please remember this. Please, please remember this in future. When you register something, anything, you give up ownership of it. Your house, your car, your children, whatever it is, you give up ownership of it. I know you shouldn't own your children, and you don't, but your children are your children. And no one has the right to take that child away from you. No one. You get a certificate of title, and it's worthless. It's not worth the paper it's written on. Fixed penalty notices. So why are there so many fixed penalty notices? You get a fine for filling your bin up too much, or putting it out on the wrong day, or sticking it in the wrong position. Speed cameras, sworn documents. Well, what are these notices in the real world? They've been issued by corporations. And the corporations are dreaming up more and more reasons for penalising you. Penalised by the way of forfeit. Something surrendered subject to surrender as punishment for a breach of contract. These are called adhesion contracts. An adhesion contract is a type of contract that is legal and binding agreement that someone writes, makes it their, they basically do as they please. They've got all the bargaining power, they attach it to you, and it's to their advantage. A notice is not a bill. A notice is not a demand. If you went to a restaurant and the waiter come up and said, that's £60 for your meal and I serve you notice, what would you do? Pay or ask for a bill? Well, you'd pay then, obviously. You ask for a bill. Have you ever thought about actually...
I'm going to run out of time. Maybe have to do a part 3. Yeah, just about the birth certificate registration. Interesting, very interesting. I found. I say it's very old. This like 15-year-old. If you haven't seen it, this video's been up for 13 years. But very interesting stuff. I'll be there back part 3. Peace.